Okay, so there's 20 top skills in demand in the workforce. And now, look, a lot of these, they're going to seem like things that are very specific, but that doesn't necessarily mean you needed to go to college to learn them. So things like cloud computing, that's number one, artificial intelligence, number two, sales leadership, analysis, which is a broad category but covers a lot of things, translation, mobile app development, people management, video production, audio, UX design, SEO, blockchain, industrial design, creativity, which is, I don't even know how that made the list. I feel like you need to be creative to do anything. Collaboration. Now we're getting pretty up there in the thin air. Adaptability, time management, persuasion, digital journalism, animation. So I think really this is a list of 20. It's probably a list of 12 and they stretched it out to be 20.
Yeah.
But
You
on
gotta
this
hit those
list,
SEO.
of course, on this list, there's things that you can learn on the internet. You can
Yeah.
learn these on YouTube. You can learn these through Udemy. You can learn them through Teachable. People put out courses on their own. You could pick up a book at the library. You could go, I know Figma, which is a software that you can use on the internet. It's a web-based platform that's used for a lot of like UI design and things like that nature. They have their own product creation courses that you can read through and learn about that
Yeah.
whole process online for free, right? So a lot of these things, these are just 20 skills that are in demand now and that will be in demand in the future. And I think when we look at this, it really is just, it illuminates to me that it's not that folks aren't equipped or aren't capable of doing jobs where they could earn more money. I think there's just a gap between the awareness of like, what are those opportunities to earn? And then where are the places where I can go to skill up? Because you don't go out and get a career. You build a base of skills so that when there's an opportunity to take a certain career path, like you're able to take that interview and get that job, and then that job parlays into your career. You don't just walk in there because you have a degree or whatever. That degree is just proof. It's a heuristic. It's a way for the people who are hiring to say, "Oh, I know that this person knows computer science because they have a computer science degree." But you could teach yourself how to do a lot of things, of which I think, what are the top 3 that you think we should run through? Or maybe let's just start out with number 1. If you had to pick from that list
Yeah.
of 20 things, what is one six-figure skill that you think people should work on developing if they want to give themselves the best opportunity to break out of
Yeah.
that rat race?
Number one, and I think this is one everybody can do is sales. That's probably the easiest one you could do. You don't need a degree. You don't even need to take a course. You just need to be at bat. You got to just go at bat, take a job that sells something, and you can learn how to sell from that job. A lot of jobs are going to give you on the job training. Sometimes they don't even expect you to know how to sell. They just expect you to know how to talk. Can you communicate in your language and communicate ideas? If you could talk and you have a good grasp of the language that you speak, you can be in sales. And I think that's one of the number one skills you can learn to earn over 100K.
Yeah, and sales is absolutely transferable. Like you mentioned, people sell in retail, people are selling real estate, people are selling financial products, and all of those things. It's just a matter of understanding who's the audience you're trying to reach and what is the problem that that audience is dealing with, and then getting them from where they're at to where they want to be and positioning your product as a vehicle that transports them there. This is sales. And like, just so y'all can understand, what we're going to do on this show is we're going to introduce you to a topic. We're going to explain the topic for you. Then we're going to give you some skills that you can take and apply right now. And then we'll show you somewhere else you can go and learn more about it. All right. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. But if we want to talk about sales, Jimmy, I know you worked in a call center type environment.
Yeah.
I've done cold calling. I've also run my own business as an entrepreneur. And in that world, if you don't pick up the phone and call people, if you don't know how to do social selling, if you don't know how to sell through email, you actually don't make any money at all, especially as an entrepreneur. So, um, what are some of the experiences you had before we get to the practical of like, here's some tips on how to be great at sales? What
Yeah.
are some of the exact experiences that you had that taught you the ins and outs of sales?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the first jobs I ever got in sales was at McDonald's. Now, that's very funny to say because literally, I remember when I was in my interview, this is for my second job, but when I was in my interview, I was talking, I'm like, yo, I worked at McDonald's. They asked me, do you have any sales skills? I said, I worked at McDonald's and I used to upsell people to fries or a meal or get a milkshake or whatever. That's how I increased the average revenue per customer. And I was like,
Wait,
oh shoot, we throwing that.
you were thinking about the average revenue per
Yeah,
customer
because
as
McDonald's actually taught you these things. Like McDonald's
okay.
has one of the best trainings of all. I don't know how it is now because like this was like almost like a decade ago, but that like they had one of the best trainings. So they would teach you like, hey, people will come in and they'll want a burger, but it's your job to upsell them to a fries and a drink to get them a combo because we make more money on the fries and the drink. And also
Holy.
the franchise that I worked with was owned by one of a very smart businessman who owned multiple franchises. So he would actually talk to you on the ones and be like, yo, this is what it's about. This is what we're trying to do. So McDonald's is number one. After McDonald's, I transitioned to selling apparel, sports apparel. But I think one of the best jobs that I ever had, and RIP to this company, Blockbuster. Blockbuster
Ooh.
was one of the best sales jobs I've ever had because it literally was about a customer journey. You literally had to guide people to the right decision because if you guided people to the wrong decision, they're going to return the movie and they're not going to ever get your recommendation again. You've already broken that trust. But if you can guide people to the right recommendation, they're going to keep coming back to you. And that was more of a transactional sales. And I'm throwing out a lot of these terminologies right now, but you could Google these things. And I'm sure in many of the resources that we're going to share with you guys, you're going to learn some of these terms. But transactional sales, very quickly, is just a sales process that is very short. And it's like, hey, I have money. I want to buy this product. Hey, I have this product. It solves your needs. Quick exchange. We don't even have to really build a deep relationship. But in but within Blockbuster, we had a lot of sales training, and it was actually amazing. Building rapport was one of the first things I learned at Blockbuster. You start talking to them about, what'd you do this weekend? What's your favorite sport? Kind of like little icebreaker things so that they feel like you're friends, and then they're more likely to receive your recommendation. And
Mm,
then after Blockbuster, I did a lot of jobs in tech. I sold telecommunications, cable, cell phone services. I also sold software as a sales and educational platform to professors, which required a ridiculous amount of cold calling and
mm,
sending emails. I think that was probably the toughest sales job that I ever had because you were selling to such a niche group of people, professors, and also I was breaking into a market that didn't really fully exist yet. We were selling publishing tools to professors. Now, there's a traditional sense of publishing where you're writing textbooks, but we were selling digital textbooks to professors and say, hey, do you want to write your own textbook and make a royalty or make a cut? And a lot of professors are like, yo, is this a scam? What are you talking about? I never heard of this before. And so that was really tough for me as a salesperson. It really sharpened my skills because I literally had to think outside the box. I literally had to be like, yo, here's the issue that you're facing right now. Here's how you solve it. Here's how our platform helps you solve that. Would you like a demo? And they're like,
mm.
yeah, you know what? I never thought about that. Yeah, let's do a demo. And then you take them through that process. So those are just to highlight some of some of the industries that I've worked in where I had to utilize sales skills. How about you?
Holy. Yo, honestly, you got me thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. My very first job that I ever had was working in a water park, and I worked in a gift shop. And so I had to work on the till, but I was not thinking about that. I was trying to do the math to make sure I didn't give people back too many quarters or too many nickels when in their change. Um, but the real first sales job I had, I used to work at a sporting goods store called Sport Check, and I worked there for 3 years. And the department was called like soft goods. So you could imagine like Foot Locker or Champs or something like that. It's pretty much the same. People would come in, and obviously you come in the store, you're looking around, and my whole thing was like, "Hey, how you doing? You trying to get some new size 9.5s?" And my thing was like, I would try my best to just guess what size people's shoes are, and on a good amount of time, like I could actually gauge. what their shoes were because I saw so many hundreds and hundreds of people every week. And so, that's a great way to break the ice on a conversation because most of the time people are just you're gonna walk in the store, people are gonna say, "Hey, can I help you with anything?" And 9 out of 10 people are gonna say, "No, I'm just looking," even though they are looking for something very specific,
They
you
literally
know,
walked into the store for it.
exactly. You know what that talk track looks like, and it's a dead end. So you gotta start somewhere else. And that's what I kind of learned working in retail is that it's not necessarily about you know, you just matching this person up with a shoe, but it's like trying to understand what are they trying to do, right? Like you're buying shoes for a reason. Yo, did you just get back in the gym? Are you starting a new men's league basketball thing? Is it back to school? Or did you just get a new job? So you try and figure out where they're coming from, and then you build some kind of rapport, assess their situation, and then make a recommendation and support it with some kind of facts. And then you can close so many sales that way. But retail was also great because you learned how to de-escalate situations because people would come in there and be mad and you be face to face. And when you're face to face with somebody, you really gotta think on your feet, literally think on your feet. So working in retail for 3 years was amazing. And then also I went on to do other things. Like I said, I started my own business. We ran a sports academy for 6 years, and you were there, you saw that one.
Yeah.
But to get all those people, all those parents to pay for the kids to come, it was, I would say it's a high ticket item. Like some of our
Mm.
our classes and whatnot were $500-700 for a few weeks. And so you got to get on the phone and you got to build a certain type of trust with these people because people are
Yeah.
only going to do business with you and exchange that amount of money with you if they feel like they're going to get, a equal or greater amount of value back
Yeah.
for that time and money that they're spending with you. So you got to be able to just see what the things that people are holding inside of them that are little barriers against what you're trying to tell them, and they're having their hesitations. You got to uncover those and defuse those bombs, and then you could sell a lot. But so that brings me to like one of the tactics that I learned through my entrepreneurial journey, and then also later when I was a business development rep and I was just banging cold calls for like a software company. So through the whole spectrum, one thing that I learned, whether I was trying to book a demo, whether I was trying to get somebody to buy a 8 week program, whether I was trying to get somebody to buy a brand new pair of ASICs, the the product that you're selling, you shouldn't really position it as like this product and all the great features that it has. Like there's a time for that, especially when it's very transactional. But uh I find it very effective when you can figure out exactly what somebody's trying to accomplish and why they're trying to accomplish it. They're probably starting out in a stage where there's either some form of discomfort, inconvenience, something's too slow, something doesn't fit right, something's old, it's not performing up to the standard, right? They're in a certain stage right now where there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got to identify that problem. And if you can explain that problem better than the person who is experiencing it, immediately they're going to begin to trust you as a person who can lead them to the promised land. So you got to assess the situation. Now, if you know your product well, you know that your product fits with a certain number of issues. So it's a solution to, okay, this running shoe is great because this running shoe is lighter than a boot. This running shoe here is breathable for when you're wearing it for a long time.
Yeah.
This running shoe here has a steel toe so you could wear it at work or whatever it is that the problem is they're facing. You got to be able to fit your product to that solution, not so that you could sell the product, so that you could sell them on the destination that they're trying to get to. So I heard this podcast a long time ago. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It was this guy named Derek Halpern. He is a online marketing guy, and he used something called the POD method. Okay,
Okay.
POD. It's a problem, it's the obstacle, and it's the dream state or the desired destination. Okay, so you basically try to identify what is the problem. Where is this person starting at? That's the point of origin, right? That's where you are at the beginning. Then you want to identify what's the dream state. Where are they trying to get to? And then what is the obstacle that's in between that P and that D that is stopping them from just getting there on their own?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't even know what shoe to buy. Maybe they don't know what kind of software is the best one to start their new company. Maybe they don't know what skills that they need to work on so that they could get the career that they're looking for. And so when you can clearly show these people, hey, look, this is where we are in stage A. This is where you want to get to in stage B, and this is what's stopping you. But guess what? This product that I have here, this is a vehicle that transports you. It's like a bridge and it brings you from the problem to the destination over that obstacle. Now, if I told you that this vehicle was X amount, would you be interested? And that's how you sell the thing. It's not coming in there and saying, yeah, these shoes are the best shoes. These shoes are the best shoes. It's, yo, I'm gonna make your feet feel better. And you can have feet that feel better after a full days of work for $97. And so it's not even about the shoe, but it's about the
Yeah,
result, right? And so
100%.
that's how using the pod method, which was something I latched onto and I've been using to this day. Even on my teams at work now, I train them on that as soon as in their first 2 weeks of working with me. And everybody seems to just gravitate towards because it makes sense, right? It makes sense. You're making it human and you're making it relatable, regardless of if what you're selling is SaaS, if what you're selling is um, clothing, if what you're selling is technology, hardware. Just got to identify clearly where they're at, why they even came in the store, and then where they want to get to, and then show them how your product is the vehicle. Have you ever heard of the pod method?
I haven't heard of the pod method, but that sounds very familiar in terms of just that journey that you want to take a customer through. I've heard of things like jobs to be done. I've actually came across that in marketing talk, but it's definitely applicable in sales. And one of the things that big mistake that a lot of people that start in sales do is they feature dump or
Mm.
they benefits poor. they, they either just feature dump or they benefits poor, and you don't want to you don't want to overstimulate or give too much information to somebody who is looking for a solution, because you end up just kind of you send their brain into overdrive and then they can't make a decision. And so, kind of like what Courtney was saying, you want to pinpoint the pain points, figure out what exactly it is that they're coming here for. What are they dealing with? And a lot of people really just don't know how to get to the solution in a simple manner, and that's why they're coming to you. That's why they're coming to your product, to your company, to wherever they're looking for a solution. And it's your job to kind of almost handhold them to the desired location. So I think you probably you said it best. The pod method, that's a very good one to stick to. Do you have any podcasts or resources that people can jump on?
Yeah, man, I got a couple of books actually, and this one is called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and it's Turbocharge Your Business with Relentless Focus on 12 Key Strategies by Chet Holmes. This one's kind of a overarching sales book, and it talks about all different stages of it, from prospecting to getting referrals after you actually close a sale. And
Yeah.
that's for, transactional stuff, long sales cycle, all that different kind of stuff. I think the best information is actually in books. If you're not a book person, you might not want to be a wealthy person either. But not everybody has to read books. These things are on Audible. You could probably download a video somewhere, go on YouTube. But yeah, the Ultimate Sales Machine is one. A second one, and there's two by a guy named Jeb Blunt. He is a sales trainer. He has a sales company called Sales Gravy, and he does some really good stuff. He has two books that focus on specific aspects of sales,
Mhm.
and the first one is called Fanatical Prospecting. And that is about filling up your pipeline and giving yourselves at bats, opportunities. As a salesperson, you'll learn that it's very much, excuse me, it's very much about giving yourself a chance. It's
Yeah.
a numbers game. If you want to really sell stuff, like, of course, you want to get better at closing, right? You want to have a higher closing percentage, like you want to have a better batting average. But in until you have the great batting average, you really just need to do a lot of volume. So you need to have a lot of at bats. And the only way you get at bats is by prospecting. So this book is all about how do you find more people to put into your pipeline so that you're able to have more conversations and you're able to get more at bats. And then here's the real key is that once you do get your batting average up, don't let the volume drop down, because then you'll really hit it out of the park. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. I know we're
Yeah.
talking about 101, but that's how you really kill it in sales. And then the last book would be another Jeb Blunt book that's called Objections.
Okay.
And if you're gonna sell stuff, you're absolutely gonna deal with brush offs. You're gonna deal with people who are giving you objections, people who are, weary of things. And this is just giving you tools to disarm those situations and get people over things where they're stalling, or they're not getting to the point, or there's no urgency, so they're not making a decision. This is how to get people off of the fence, because in the world of sales, yes and no's you can live with. It's the maybes that will kill you.
Yeah.
And this book, Objections, is specifically about how to maneuver when people are not trying to give you a yes or a no, or if they're giving you a no, how can you actually see if that's a real no, if they're just confused right now, or they're just an information overload, or there's just too many competing things in their mind. How can you simplify stuff and let them know that what you got for them is absolutely the best option?
Yeah, and we'll definitely add those ones in the show notes if you guys want to check those ones out. I got two real quick. These ones helped me a lot when I was early in my sales career. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's like one of my favorite books reading when it came to sales. And then also Brian Tracy, The Psychology of Selling. Those are two quick ones that I would just add onto the list that Courtney gave. All right, so we talked about sales. I think we got to talk a little bit more some technical skills.